Good morning. It's Wednesday morning. Yesterday afternoon, I started applying the wood grain decals from Proper Plane on the Albatros D.V. I did, I guess it was 11 strips, 11 panels from nose to tail that go across the bottom of the fuselage. Those were following the recommended order. Do all the panels on the bottom first, then the top, and then each side. So I had to be quite careful. The decals are both delicate and resilient. I don't know how to explain that. They don't tear, but they are prone and will fold on you if you're not careful, which means getting the right amount of wetness, moisture on the decals. Not too much, not too little. Don't know what to say, but basically I hit upon, about 25 to 30 seconds in warm water, and then about a minute to a minute and a half just sort of soaking or drying a little bit on a paper towel, and then very, very carefully applying each panel to make sure it didn't flip inside out or turn on itself. Sometimes the little edges might try to do that, but they cooperated pretty well. One panel at a time, very, very carefully drying it out, using mostly a brush to dry out or wick out the moisture. Sometimes a little bit of a cotton bud, but I had to be careful about that. And after everything was basically, I waited about an hour, and then I applied a little bit of the Microsol, the red, the solvent solution, because there are some impressions, depressions in the bottom there, and I wanted the decals to meld in. They did that very well. Waited another couple hours and then gave the plane another coat of Tamiya TS13, which is the gloss clear spray. Now I do have a tiny, I have a tiny little chip in one of the panels. I can touch that up, but overall, I'm very pleased. I'm going to be starting on the top panels here. So flip this over. So you can see I've removed the pilot and the engine. So the big challenge, I think, is going to be this number 12, which of course wraps around the cockpit opening, and the back there, and that panel is open. The machine guns fit in there. It's probably it's actually one of the biggest pieces, panel pieces, and it's a horseshoe with a big opening. So I've learned from experience with other decals how strips like that can do funny things, wiggly things on you, and you don't want them turning inside out or sticking to itself. We'll see how it goes and proceed from there. That's the next step. Get that done this morning, and then in the afternoon, if everything's going well, we'll be doing the side strips and finishing it up, getting it all coated. This morning, I added the decals that go across the top of the fuselage. I'll admit, I was worried about the first piece, the first section, which goes back from the engine opening around where the machine guns will come out and surrounds the cockpit, and thought that could be a potential for disaster, not because of the decals per se, but because of my twitchy fingers. But I succeeded in getting it on. I do have to trim off excess clear portions of the decal when everything is really, truly dry. But everything went on smoothly and successfully, and waiting for everything to get perfectly dry, and I'll seal it up and then proceed to the starboard and the port sides, and hopefully get this fully covered in terms of the wood grain decals on the main part of the fuselage by this evening. It's Wednesday afternoon, and I have finished applying all of the wood grain decals from Proper Plane to the Wingnut Wings Albatros D.V. I'm going to give the decals a 5 out of 5. Beautiful color, beautiful resolution. They are strong, although very, somewhat delicate, but I had no rips or tears at all. My application of the decals, I'm going to give a 3.5 or 4 out of 5. It's just my whole issue with spatial relationships and sizing things when I trim, but I managed to get everything covered, and I love the contrasting effect in the various panels. I have covered or done a gloss spray coat of TS13 from Tamiya on the fuselage, and that's basically about 99% dry, but I'm just going to let everything sit here. I'm not going to pick it up at the moment. What I finished last were all of the side panels. The process was the underside first, then the top, then the left-hand side, the port side here. I think it was this side. No, I did the starboard side next. This was the last side to be done. But I think it's going to look, it's going to really add to the build. And I based on my experience, all I can say is, if I can do this with these decals, modelers are going to be really delighted with this product. I always approach putting on decals, and the larger they are, the more I worry about them, to be honest, just in terms of the possibility of tears or folding or misalignment. And I was very, very pleased with how this worked out. Yes, I could have painted the wood grain on. I have done that before. In fact, I did it on the Wingnut Wings Roland. And I will probably compare both planes side by side. The Roland what is that? Was that a D3, a D6? I don't even remember now. It's a really cool plane. I'll probably compare that to, because that one's with a paint finish on the fuselage, with this one when all is said and done. So I am going to probably put TS79, which is the satin clear finish, on the wood. But I'll just let everything set here, look for any places where I might need to do a little bit touch up here and there, and then continue on with the build. Thank you, Proper Plane. Very impressed with your product. And I'll be visiting your site for additional add-ons. Oh, you make a lot of beautiful, beautiful products. Really good-looking products for Wingnut Wings and I guess other 1/32 scale. They actually do things in other scales as well. But Great War aftermarket accessories sets. I recommend them highly. Thanks for watching, folks.